Are you a man who gets stressed out or a bit anxious and maybe a bit exhausted? Well, today I want to talk about the power of breath work in mental health and really being focused and getting more clarity in your life. Welcome to the Men's Mental Health Podcast. I decided to talk about this today because I work with a breathwork expert. I've been certified as a practitioner of breathwork, and even recently when things have got required me to upgrade, the tool I come back to of choice is breathwork to really help me mentally and emotionally. I think it's really important to talk about because often, like when I got into the whole personal growth space, the stuff was valuable. Like, you got to have the right mindset, you got to think positive. And I think that's very true, right? But not at the expense of dismissing how you're really feeling and pushing things away. You know, you got to acknowledge and work through things, I totally believe. And, you know, there's therapy, there's coaching, and these things are super, super great. I definitely advocate for any of them for the mind. The thing I discovered was the body stores more emotions than the mind. And if you're not getting in touch with how you're feeling in the body, it's got an infinite wisdom and intelligence, and it's telling you stuff. Then if you're ignoring that, you could still be very challenged. I've been to many breathwork sessions, and one I went to, and I've been to, like, how many of these I've been to? At least probably close to 10 live sessions, being obviously closer to probably 100 and online, but like 10 sessions where I've been live breathwork with people in the room. It's really, really powerful, beyond anything I could measure. And like in things like Danny Morell's event, like Awaken, people's transformation in the room from doing breathwork is wow. Like, people having breakthroughs, they're connecting deep within inside themselves, they're going into ancestral trauma and releasing that. It's so, so powerful that the mind just cannot get to by thinking. Breathwork is so powerful to release things and also ground me when I've needed to. I've just even taken 5 minutes out in my day to day and just like put my hand on my heart and done the 5-5-5 technique, like breathe in for 5, hold for 5, and exhale for 5 through my nose. And there's a difference in breathing through your nose and your mouth. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but yeah, there's sometimes you need to breathe through the mouth, and sometimes and it's better to breathe through the nose a bit more. And I won't go too much into science, but I just want to talk about the power of breathwork and really share a view in terms of breathwork so that you can move forward. So how can you get into breathwork? How can you make it regular into your day? You might be thinking, right? Sounds great, but how can I practically do it? And I like to keep things simple because I think a lot of times when you listen to these podcasts and grow things, you're exhausted mentally and or emotionally, maybe and or physically, right? And you want things in a very simple way. So I just broke down for me how I'd recommend getting started with breathwork and some resources. Well, number one, I would look at the book Breathe Breath by James Nestor. Great book into many different techniques and talks about the science of breathwork. Highly, highly recommend. Number two, a woman I've had the pleasure of interviewing and actually working alongside for a little bit, MJ Renshaw, has created something called the Being Method, and she offers loads of value. She talks about all these different breathwork techniques that you can go out and use, and she gives you different tools in the app and practices. So I'd highly recommend that and checking out her on Instagram and what she's offering out there as well. But it teaches like the different techniques you can use. And then number three, I'd recommend just searching if you've got any local classes on breathwork, because that can be such a powerful practice when you get out there and start using it more for yourself. Breathwork is so, so powerful when you go out there and do these classes, right? So that's what I really wanted to share with you today in terms of breathwork. And then if I was to add a fourth one, I would say just making a daily practice and a weekly practice. Now, why a daily and a weekly? Daily can be something as 5 minutes, short as 5 minutes, where you just ground yourself in your breath. You slow down, you pay attention to it. The reason I recommended, and actually I'll finish on this point, and then the weekly one is something that does a bit more, or bi-weekly or fortnightly, right? Every 2 weeks. you can dive into yourself and then really go deeper, or even monthly when you've done more of it, because this allows you to go deeper with inside yourself. So I can recommend that as well in terms of diving deep, because that can be really, really beneficial to, yeah, like dive deep into the body and clear out things. So I'd get into that regular practice as well. Now, the things I've recommended will help you think of systems, but you can also hire a breathwork coach and all sorts of things like that, which I'd highly recommend. Now, would I recommend using YouTube? I'm not against it, but the thing is, there's not a one size fits all approach. And sometimes YouTube will share a certain technique which is good for a certain situation. So if you're watching YouTube, I recommend understanding the context behind the breathwork. Why is it useful? Why is that technique going to be suitable for you? So that's what I'd also add to that. So that's my tips on breathwork. It's really great to get you going, make it very simple. So check out the book, check out the Being Method, do one of these, do all of them, check out a local class, and then just getting into a regular practice that you can do, because when you get grounded in the body, the mind often follows. So that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of breath work, because it gives you more clarity, calms you down, can release things that the mind just can't do. So thank you for listening. I appreciate you for being here, and remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.